4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
I am Lovey. And as always, we thank you for actually joining us for another episode because you could be doing lots of different things and you've chosen to build your marriage or at least reach out, look into, listen to another resource that's going to help your relationship, or at least we hope so.
You chose to partake in some of the shenanigans.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been married for 28 years, going on 29 years. We've had a storied past. There were challenges in the very, 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 very beginning.
Before we got married.
You know, quick synopsis. Her ex stabbed me through the heart, 2 open heart surgeries, family feud. Mostly it was my family that was feuding. And
it was all your family? So don't say mostly.
Yeah, you know, wedding boycotts, all kind of stuff.
4 years later, almost divorced. And
tell them why.
Why? Because I requested it? Or you wanted to know why or where? I feel like you get more caught up on the where it happened and how it happened that I asked more than the fact that I asked.
No, the why is amazing. You know, I don't say amazing. The why is the meat. But I think that the where gives a little bit of flavor.
See, I told y'all, I knew it. So we were at our 4-year anniversary at Morton's, having dinner, and I just vomited the words, I want a divorce. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't plan it that way. And so he likes to say, well, we could have been in Taco Bell or we could have went to Jack in the Box for that, blah, 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 whatever. But when I do stuff, I do it in class, and I keep it classy, keep it cute, you know.
Keep it classy. Oh, by the way, you know what? Pass me the spinach and the potatoes. Oh, I want a divorce. And it was more of a vomit. She just like put it out there.
So,
but anyway, no, that was the past, and we
really?
figured,
because I kind of feel like you're still a little bit salty about the dinner part of it.
you know, how you have scar tissue kind of built up, and you can still see it. Like
so every time we go to a nice restaurant, is that why you're looking at me sideways?
I'm just waiting for it.
So silly.
I'm just waiting for it. Yeah, you know, you got scar tissue. So every time you look in the mirror, you're like, oh yeah, that happened.
Whatever.
You know. So anyway, but we decided to become that couple that we needed in those moments to help us get through. I mean, we did make it through, obviously, and we did have some assistance, but we became extremely committed to pouring into marriages because our marriage became the most important thing to us. Mm-hmm. And in that, we realized that there were a lot of other couples that were like us, maybe not on the verge of divorce, but just having difficulties.
Yeah. I don't know that we realized so much as in they realized, the other couples realized that, hey, y'all just went through some real heavy stuff and you were able to come through it, get to the other side. So how did you do that? So people just kind of started talking to us about things that are happening with them. And, you know, from that near divorce, that's where crazy was basically founded. We didn't know that it was crazy. Can you tell them what crazy stands for?
It stands for compassionate,
real,
accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Right. So we developed those principles, or we started using those principles in our marriages, unbeknownst to us that 20 years later, or however many years it was later, we were actually going to begin this ministry of Married into Crazy. So that's kind of just a basic history of where Married into Crazy how it actually started, why it started, and here we are.
But it's so funny because even back then, unbeknownst to ourselves, almost like it was built into our DNA, we began creating. And it wasn't like it was a process that we thought about. We started trying to create our own future. And if you think about it, when you get married, when the moment you say, I do, it's almost like, okay, that's when the clock starts, so to speak. You know, the timer where it's okay. So you're opportunity to create together happens. And this was illustrated recently at our marriage conference.
Shout out to all the couples that came to the marriage conference.
To the Winter Ball
and marriage conference. Yeah. That we did February 7th and 8th last month, that we will be doing again February 6th and 7th of next year, 2026. So just letting you know right now, mark your calendars. We had such a great time. Shout out to the speakers who came and just taught, and, everyone was just absorbing, learning like sponges. We had a great time, had a great turnout. Special shout out.
Special shout out. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, special, so look, but we had a lot of speakers. You've heard about this in the past, but just recently, you know that Dr. Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher, one of the top motivational speakers in the world. He's actually been number one motivational speaker in the world, and happens to be a friend, and he came through and he was a speaker, and he actually gave us a shout out recently on his podcast with his co-host on the Secret to Success podcast.
So I haven't heard it yet. So.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play that. And he's actually speaking to exactly what we're talking about today.
Okay.
So let me see if I can actually drum this up.
Drum roll.
I was just telling Dee, I was like, yo, D, we did it. We did it. We did it. Ernie and his wife, they brought me to Sacramento to do it was a marriage retreat they did. It was their first one. And so I went to go do a marriage retreat in Sacramento. And the message was, because most of these people have been married for a while. And I was like, yo, what y'all creating? Like I said, we were made in the image of God. He created.
Yeah.
We're creators. I showed them pictures. It's what me and Dee created. Mm-hmm. This is what me and CJ created. Yeah. This is what ETA created. I was like, what are y'all creating? Yeah. And so for me and Dee, when we came home last night.
That's cool.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Okay, well, E.T., my name is Rana. Don't say Ernie and forget me. Ernie and his wife.
Yeah, it goes all the way back.
It's good.
Hey, real talk. In the Bible, the original draft of the Bible, it did say Adam and his wife, and somebody was like, "Look, you need to put her name in there. You need to put Eve."
A lady, no.
But it was probably a lady. But God, it was like, yeah, Adam and his wife.
That's funny.
And his helper.
His rib.
No, but real talk. When you get married, and I thought it was interesting because after the conference, we spoke to a lot of couples, and a lot of the feedback, and all the speakers are extremely impactful, and the couples are saying they took a lot from every single one of the speakers, including us. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
But a lot of people says, I never gave any thought to the fact that we need to create something together.
And I'm sorry. I just thought about that because we know so many couples who everybody's busy. We're doing stuff. We're all doing things. But how much time is spent doing things together? Not just, we spend time together, but what are we doing together? Like MIC is something that we're doing together. We're creating together. We're doing our thing, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just about what Lovey's doing. It's not just about what Snooks is doing. It's Snooks and Lovey. And I like that my name comes first. Snooks and Lovey.
Do you know why I did that?
I don't know. Because it rhymed better? Lovey and Snooks? Snooks and Lovey sounds better.
Snooks and Lovey just sounds better. But I don't know if you've noticed this.
I agree. But
in everything that I've done for Married Into Crazy and setting up the business, and even on some of the podcast venues, when I put down like who the creators are, I put your name first. It's so if you go like on, let's say, Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, or even over on YouTube, and you look up our like the background on, like the info, if you will, it will say Rana and Ernie Kaysen. And I know that some people are like, why is that? The man should always come first, and this, that, and the other. Look,
I know why it is.
It's because I lift up my wife. I elevate my wife in all things.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, you was like, because she the one who asked for the divorce that got this whole balls rolling. So I'm going to put her first. Is that it?
Okay, sure. Now we're in the state of California, so if anything goes down, her needs to be first, so I can come after her.
Okay.
I'll be like, yeah, I need 50%. Rana, you give me half. Goony goo goo. No, actually, it's funny because all the couples that we spoke with that actually reference back to E.T.'s message were saying that they've never really given it much thought.
It was very powerful too. I mean, man, I wish that everyone could hear what he said.
The extended version.
Right. Not that, but his actual message, because he came from, it was biblical, it was practical, it was present day, it was everything. He covered everything, It was really just powerful, and it made us take pause and thinking about what it is that we do and the reasons that we do them. I never looked at it like, oh, we're creating something. I mean, yeah, we did like, oh, we're going to do this together, but not in a sense of to the way that he broke it down, about how creation started, how it was created,
Right, how the world was created, and they're talking about how man was made in God's image. And what was really interesting to me, though, and this is not just like it's not a pat on the back, but sometimes you get affirmations, right? There's an affirmation, a confirmation of what you're doing. And as he was talking, I smiled. If you've ever smiled on the inside,
I'll pat you on the back, babe.
It's just one of those things where you go, you know what? Innately, we were led, because we do feel this is a calling, that when God called us to actually reach out to other couples and to work with, actually, couples reached out to us first. But when all that began, it was, and then it felt right. And then it felt like we need to take more steps in the direction that we're being led. We had no idea that it was about, I need you to create like I created. I need you to help create a spark in other couples' relationships. I need you to actually create in your home so your children can actually see that I'm a God of creation and that you are, an extension of my creation. And within your creation in the home, that you need to encourage them to create as well. It's a cascading effect.
Yeah.
And when I speak to the other couples, I've spoken to quite a few husbands and a few couples that were like, you know what, we've realized that standing alone, we do we applaud each other and we do great things on our own, but it's like, wow, what are we really doing? And they're thinking, oh, I need to create a business, or I need to create, something else. And I had to explain to them that it's not necessarily broken down to like a business. It doesn't have to be that. You can create harmony in your home, and that's creation.
Yeah.
You can create, some happiness. You can create joy. If you're out there together supporting, like you're the soccer dad or the soccer mom, or like last night I didn't get back on the court, but I went to go support, my old partner in coaching. And it was amazing to see some of the girls that I used to coach in their senior year just doing their thing, but to be there with them. But he and his wife, Scott and Jan, for the last probably like 2 years, she's been there with them lock and step. When they see Coach Scott, they ultimately see Jan. They've been creating and pouring into these young girls' lives for years. He and I were together coaching for 10 years. 10, 11 years. And, he was doing it before we came together. But there's so many kids that come up and they're like, Coach, you were such an integral part of when I was a kid, when I was growing up. And what they were doing, and Jan was there in the support and doing stuff like when we're having the bonding nights and doing things behind the scenes and getting the girls and lifting them up. They've created and poured into these individuals. There's so many different things that you can do as a couple to create. So,
I mean, when you were talking, you made me think about something, and I had to look it up on my phone. That song is by Fabulous and Neo. It's called I'm a Movement. I think it's called Movement. And it says, I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. Baby, I'm good all by myself, but you make me better. That made me think about how that ties into this right here. Because some folks are just very good. You're like you said, I'm a force all by myself. But when we're together, man, we're unstoppable. Right. So that's part of, if for no other reason, to be a part of the whole creation process. How much better could you be with your partner, with your spouse? I know I'm good. Lovey knows he's great.
Oh, phenomenal.
Right. But when we're together, man,
We are
just the way we, I don't know. And kind of like you said, not like we're patting ourselves on our back or whatever.
No, and you are too.
What?
No, I mean, see, these couples, everybody that's listening, take a moment, pause, think about it. When you're by yourselves, you're probably doing some amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've been together and in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with each other, I'm not just saying you got to be in the same room. It's not about proximity.
No, not
It's
at all.
about being in alignment, moving together
Yeah.
for the good,
Yeah.
whatever that may be. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a business, doesn't have to be a sport thing or whatever. But there's something that when you two are together and you're moving in alignment and it clicks, there is a feeling and it's undeniable.
Mm-hmm. And the roles will be different. It's not like you both have to be doing the same thing at the same time. You spoke about Scott and Jan. Like Scott is the coach, and so he's out there and he's the one. Like when you guys were training the girls, or you're coaching them on the court, but off the court to the side, Jan was making sure the dinners were done. Like setting up for the team, making sure everything was in proximity for the girls, making sure everyone had whatever they needed off the court. So it's not just about what you saw on the court. It's about what was happening behind the scenes also. So I think a lot of times people get, they start thinking like, oh, I don't know, I can't do that. So I'll just talk about us for the most part. Lovey does a lot of the stuff by himself. I say by himself, but he does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes because I don't.
You talking about for Married into Crazy?
For Married MIC, yeah, not for home. No,
Shots fired. Shots fired.
but no, no, but a lot of the things that I mean, I don't know how to do a lot of the technical whatever stuff like that, but I get in where I need to be in so that I'm like, okay, what can I do? How can I help? How can I be of assistance? And maybe it is making sure that the parts when you're at the desk, the other stuff, the surrounding parts are taken care of. So you don't have to worry about that. I mean, cause we're still doing it together. It doesn't have to be, you're not always going to be seen, in the front. We go to the movies and we're like, oh, he's such a good actor. Or, that was such a, that was phenomenal. But all of that comes together by the people behind the camera too. You don't see them though.
That's true.
Like E.T. had said before about, remember he said, CJ said CJ said he was going to make E.T. a household name. E.T. talked about that before, and he's like, Carl made him a household name because Carl was behind the scenes. Carl was the one doing the pictures or the videos and taking them and uploading them and blah, blah, blah. So, but it still was a whole creation, a collaborative creation. E.T. was speaking. CJ was basically directing, giving whatever.
Running the business.
And then Carl was the one shooting. So, I mean, it was a whole team thing. They would have all been great by themselves doing their own thing. But when they came together.
What a force.
It was phenomenal.
It's funny you say that because when I was in my head, I was thinking movies and you were talking about even before you went there, I was like, oh, I had this thought. Because you talked about the supporting that takes place. Mm-hmm. The Academy Awards just took place. I don't know who won what, but certain things are celebrated. Movie of the year and, actress or actor of the year. But there's also best supporting actor and best supporting actress. Everyone has a role. And if everybody's aligned, because everybody has to be aligned for all the different individuals to get the same thing. And, like the wardrobe and the music and the score and the cinematography and all these different things. You see all these different awards and people are like, oh, that's boring. I don't want to see all that stuff. But that's the magic. That's what makes it amazing. All those things behind the scene. And whether you're up front or you're on the side, but if you're anywhere in the vicinity and you're in support of the vision, it's your thing as well.
And so it not until you just said that right now that it made me think about, I remember before when movie of the year won or whatever it was, and all these people would come up there. I was like, I used to be like, oh my God, why are all these people on the stage? Because all y'all ain't gonna talk. I mean, you know, but it's like, oh, I get it, because they created this thing together.
Yes.
So even though my name, you don't know me from the person that was out in the front, I still contributed. I was still part of the creation. Therefore, I'm going to come. I'm going to get credit for it. I mean, you know, so it just like, it didn't just right now made me think about, oh, that's why all those people come on stage like that.
Absolutely.
That used to bother me when I was little. Like, everybody, why y'all all on stage? Y'all don't need to be up there. But I was part of that. So yeah, I'm finna be on stage. Yeah.
And you know what? And this is a good thing, because when you take a look, let's just continue to do the movies thing. So when, like, let's say Denzel wins an award, or they go to these events and you see Denzel and his wife, or you see, you know, Halle Berry and whoever she's with, and you're like, what? Why are they even in the picture?
Sterling K. Brown and his wife.
And Sterling Brown. So I've heard people say, you know, why are they even in the picture? Because the one that is in the movie wouldn't be there without that other individual.
That's right.
It's both of them, and they are creating. The one person might be the one on the screen, or the one on the field playing, or whatever, doing all that stuff, but they are creating the opportunity for him to actually be able to do that, because somebody has support in one way or the other. But on top of that, like when we look at Married into Crazy and what we're creating. So let's go back to the Winter Ball and Marriage Conference. Mm-hmm. That was a vision that I had that I've been carrying with me for the last 3 to 5 years. I really wanted to put this on, and it continued to develop over time. Mm-hmm. And we weren't necessarily aligned all the time, because Snooks was focused on school, and rightfully so. But what ended up happening was, when it was all said and done, we came together and we were creating and we were putting things in place, and we brought other people in tow to help create, to where it became a thing for everyone. But it started, we were there together in alignment, and there were other couples that were there in alignment. There have been people talking about that have come up to me and said that, you know what, I didn't even know we needed your conference. We went there to support you, but we got so much out of it that our relationship went to that next level. And now we're thinking about, what else can we do to go to that next level? And that was, built off of not just us, but off of E.T.'s message, off of the Dickerson's message, off of the Muhammad's message, off of Eva Palacios's message. Everyone that spoke. And the Swanigans. Look, I'm just going to talk about it. The Light, where we actually had the event. OJ and Pastor OJ and First Lady Delisa Swanigan, they created something within their church, within their community, that gave the opportunity for us to be able to create an event, that gave the opportunity for other couples to get up on stage and to create, that were able to actually pour into other couples, that were able to go back into their homes and create.
That's right.
That are able cascading from their homes into their children, into their neighborhoods, into their workplaces, to create an environment where people can go. A couple flew all the way in from Maryland, and it's love them. And they flew all the way in from Maryland, and we actually invited them over to our home because they traveled so far, and they watched the Super Bowl with us. And one of the things that we talked about was, he asked a question: when I go home, how can I create something like this to actually be in my community as well? That seed that God planted in all of us to create is present in all of us, but it has to be nurtured. And sometimes you just got to shine a light on it. And I want to thank E.T. publicly. And Dee Dee. E.T. and Dee Dee, because Dee Dee came. And Dee Dee was the rock star.
The reason why that E.T. came. I mean, let's just keep it real. If I could just give a backstory real quick. So Lovey had called him, texted him, whatever, and said that he would like for him to do like a video, like to introduce whatever at the beginning of the conference. And apparently E was listening to it. E.T. was listening to it, and Dee Dee heard him, or heard the message, or what have you, or something like that. And he told her, he had to do this video. And she's like, well, why are we not going? And he was like, well, I don't know, because they didn't ask me. He goes, we need to go. It's marriage. Marriage is very important to them. We need to be there. So shout out to Dee Dee for telling E.T. we need to be there. Shout out to E.T. for being obedient to his wife. I love that. To his wife.
Because he said, well, let me say.
To his wife.
So when Ian and I spoke, he said point blank, he was like, Dee Dee doesn't like to go to a lot of these different things. He goes, but for Dee Dee to be the one to say, we should go. And he goes, that's the Holy Spirit that actually planted that in her. So, there's a whole cascading things. Yes. Shout out to Dee Dee for being, obedient to the Holy Spirit to plant that seed in E, and for E to be obedient and listen to his wife. Because it does that yielding part that's in crazy. The last letter, it's a yielding to each other, yielding ultimately to the Spirit, but to each other. When they drop a nugget, when they drop the mic, you got to listen.
Right.
So look, this whole episode is about you.
So go ahead.
I said, no, we told stories about us and others and so forth. But the question is,
I was going to say, what are you creating, together? Because there was actually a couple of people, I just want to reiterate and hit on that again, that realized that, hey, my wife is doing this, I'm doing this, and we're moving, and we got all this great stuff going on around us. But at the end of the day, when I look at it, we're not doing any of that stuff together. And it gave them pause, and it made them be like, so what do we need to do to change that? How are we going to adjust that? Because there are some couples, some of y'all that are listening, you are in the same situation where you got this going on. Well, I'm busy. I got. But how can you make adjustments or pivot, as Terrell likes to say? Love it. How can you pivot to make the adjustment that you need to make for your spouse, for this marriage, for this connection? Because maybe you didn't realize that we needed to make this pivot. We needed to change or make the adjustment so that this is a long-standing, long-going thing or whatever. That's just like what E.T. talked about, creating. First thing that they created together was their kids. So a lot of you will say that, well, we created our kids together. Yeah, you created them together, but how many of you are actually working on them together still and working on them together, but not making them your focal point? Because we get so enmeshed in our kids' lives or what they're doing, we start just focusing kid, without thinking about our partner. Because, he grown, he all right, he's self-sufficient, he could do whatever. So that grown self-sufficient can do whatever will continue to grow and widen, and you will continue to be apart. If you're not together like this, then you're apart. A rift will come in, and that allows for any other stuff to come. We don't know what comes in with the rift, with the drift, with the wind, whatever blows in. You never want anything to come in that can separate you. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
What are you willing to do? What are you willing to change to make sure that you don't get caught in a situation where you're so focused on your own creation that it takes away from the creation of the two of you? Because once your thing is done, our kids are grown now. A lot of people, they find that statistics show, they find that after their kids are grown up, I didn't even know about, oh, wait, we missed a whole lot of stuff. We were in proximity together, but we weren't together. Therefore, we're not together. We're not creating anything together. So what is going to keep this marriage going? You are either going to have to relearn, which could be a good thing because then you get back to the zealousness of it, or you're going to be like, too much time has passed. We're either going to live as roommates or I'm going to go and do something different.
Let's build on that. We're going to save that for a part 2 on this.
I was like, another one? No.
No, but there's a part 2 because I saw this about a week or 2 ago, and divorce statistics for older couples that have been married for 20 plus years are up.
That's crazy.
And a lot of it comes down to, I'm going to do the research. My assumption is that a lot of it comes down to the fact that they forgot to create together throughout the process, so that when the kids do leave, they have nothing in common.
Right.
They've missed the alignment, or they've built. So over the years, that separation you're talking about, all the things that get in between it, has now become cemented. And so we need to actually continue to look into that. And maybe next episode, we'll actually run into that. But hey, I hope you've taken something from this conversation.
Start thinking about it. Yep.
And you're going to ask yourselves, if there's an assignment, it is to sit down with each other and be like, what are we creating together? And again, don't make it about if there's a business that you guys have always talked about, then maybe that's it. But maybe it's about can we create some more harmony? Can we create some more joy? Can we create, something that we're pouring in? We both have a passion for X, Y, Z. Can we do it together? So we're pouring into other individuals. Might be coaching. It might be cooking. I don't know what it is, but it's a conversation that needs to take place in your home.
Right. Yep.
So, hey, thanks for joining us. And until the next time.
Be blessed.
Oh, and before we go, please go over to marriedandcrazy.com.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And see all the different ways that we pour into your marriage.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.